Welcome to the 25th Hour podcast, where busy business owners share their secret success to staying in control of their day. Today's guest is Laura Licursi, and she's the founder of Elite Virtual Assistants, a virtual assistant agency that helps attorneys, busy professionals, and small business owners go from busy to productive by helping them delegate work that is keeping them working in their business instead of on their business. Of course, you can guess how much Laura and I have in common and how much fun we had recording this episode of the podcast. Enjoy. Sit back, listen in while Laura talks about not only the strategies that she uses as a business owner to stay on top of the things that she has going on, which I'll give you a hint, has something to do with how she approaches the start of every day. But also she shares with us ways that her clients have saved time by using remote workers. Hey, Laura, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited that you're here.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm so glad to be here.
So we have collaborated on and off over the last couple of years. And so I have that behind the scenes firsthand knowledge that you get a lot done. You get a lot done. And so I'm hoping that you can share what's one of the strategies that you use to help you stay in control of your day.
So honestly, my best strategy is using that timer. That's how I have to set. So I will plan, I'll plan my calendar out. And then when I have those blank spots, I plug in the stuff that I'm going to get done. I work off of my to-do list and my open buffer time, if you will. I always have to keep that. I always keep buffer time every day. Usually it's in the morning. And I set a timer and I just decide I'm going to get as much done. Or if there's one project that I really need to focus attention on, I do it until the timer goes off. And when it goes off, I have to stop. And then if I need to carry over to, another free time, then I will. But that is my number one is the timer. It's my favorite.
I love the timer. So love the timer. Now, are you able to do the timer right there where you're sitting, or do you have to put it across the room to make yourself get up to go turn it off?
No, I do keep it next to me. I did have issues every now and then because if I was in the flow of something, I was like, I can't stop it. But I'm really good about stopping it and I just stop what I'm doing. If I know I'm going to I just need an extra 5 minutes, I will throw 5 minutes on because then I will have a little bit of buffer time built in, but I don't go beyond 5 minutes. So if I know it's going to take me long, isn't that Mel Robbins rule, like the 5-minute rule?
Yep.
If it's going to take me longer than that, then I table it for another time.
Good. Because I know that I was like that, just one more thing, one more thing, which then turned into 20 minutes.
Right.
My way around that was to move the timer away from me. So I would have to physically get up to turn it off.
That's a good one. Yes.
Get me moving.
That's like setting your alarm in the morning, right?
Right.
So you have to actually get up and turn it off.
Exactly. So you mentioned buffer time a little bit. Tell me more about your buffer time.
So buffer time is what I use, and I designate it's either going to be to-do list time or working on a project time. So I always set that time for the mornings. It comes after my regular day is basically emails early in the morning. Then I have my workout time, and then I've got my buffer time. So it's, either if I have a project I'm working on, then I break that up throughout the week, but I always make sure I have time every day to work through my to-do list. So that's definitely been my best, helps me be the most productive is to be able to stay on that kind of a schedule.
There's nothing like a good routine.
I do like days that I don't have, like Fridays are loose. I slate certain things to do on Fridays, but I always make them things that don't have to be done that day. So that if for some, living in Cleveland here, if it happens to be an amazing day and something pops up and it's just Friday, I can take care of that and, flip it to the next week. But yeah.
I used to call those fun Fridays.
Uh-huh.
And so it was the day to meet someone for lunch or get outside if, like you said, it happens to be a nice day, especially
Right.
if it's out of season in a nice day. Like
Exactly. You got to jump on it.
right? Take advantage of it if you can.
Yes.
So you started out as just you as a VA in your business, and now you've grown the business and your role has shifted. What were some of the things that you did that helped you change your role? Because you really went from working in the business to working on the business.
I have to say that I think it's still just been recently, though, that I can actually pull myself more into a leadership role than a worker bee role. Because even though I started delegating pieces of my business a couple years ago to free up more time for me to work on the business, I still felt myself doing things that I knew I shouldn't be doing, but some of them didn't necessarily fit into, because I delegated by, I don't want to say category, but by job description, if you will. So, marketing, like social media was delegated out. That was one of the first things that I did. Then it was helping to recruit, so our recruiting efforts, I had somebody that, does that. Then it was client management. But I still found myself with these weird one-off tasks that didn't really fit into one of those molds. But I'm like, I really shouldn't be doing this. So that's when I just reached out and was kind of like, okay, well, who really would like to do this? Who is going to be best at this? Who can do it the most efficiently? And, really who wants to do this? And so I found that person. So now those little pieces, I just, even though they don't necessarily fit in her role, I brush them off to her. And it's definitely helped me, because some of them are little things that maybe add up to an hour a week, but it's an hour's worth of work that I don't have to worry about and that I don't have to do myself. Even just taking that step off of, I don't even have to think about it anymore, it's just done, is huge.
Well, I'm thinking about what happened today. The website form was broken and things didn't upload the way they needed to when you and I were communicating. And I thought, I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't have the skill set for it, but I could get in there and figure it out. And I thought, no, move it over to someone else. And if she can't do it, she has a resource that she can send it to, but I don't have to think about it anymore.
Right.
It's done and fixed.
It's being handled. Hitting that forward button.
Right? I know.
It's like the best email feature ever.
I agree.
Can you handle this, please?
Exactly. Now, when you do send those to someone to handle, how do you make sure that they get done?
Well, I meet with my team every week. So every single week we are going back. This is what we did last week. This is what's coming up. So that helps us to not have anything lost in translation. And we also use Trello. So whenever we have somebody has a task assigned, technically it's supposed to go on Trello. Now those one-off emails, that are going out, I just get a reply, done. So I know that it was done. So that's kind of the system that we have worked out for those one-offs is, she just lets me know as soon as it's done, she reaches back out to me and says done. So
what do you think was the hardest thing when you started delegating?
Trusting somebody else to do so, because it's hard. You want things done the way that you do them, and you expect them done the way that you do them. And that's not always the case. Sometimes they're done better and sometimes they're not. So that was definitely the hardest part for me, was being able to hand off the task and trusting that it was going to be done the way that I thought that it should be done. And, that takes some working through with somebody too. It takes a lot of, this is how I do it. This is basically the outcome that I expect. And then being able to kind of let go a little bit and let them handle it the way that they're going to handle it and that it makes sense for them to handle it. So that was definitely difficult. But once I got over that hurdle, it's so easy now. Here.
Here's some for you.
Yeah, and a little for you.
Here's one for you, and one for you, and one for you. Everyone gets a
good feeling.
So anything else you can think about that the way that you structure your day that helps you stay in control all the time?
I just think it is having that routine. That's really what helps me the most. I have to have that time. If I don't have time to myself, like at least 30 minutes that I'm exercising or doing something, meditating, yoga, whatever it is, I have to have 30 minutes because I myself will think all day long, when am I going to fit this in? Because if I wait, I know by the end of the day, something's going to pop up and I'm not going to get to it. So doing that in the morning before I actually start, my day is key to me being able to stay on task. Because otherwise I tend to let things like that really, fill my brain space.
Well, I just know that I've scheduled yoga in the morning, walking in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the yoga in the morning gets done and the walking in the afternoon is hit and miss.
Exactly, because it's if you have time. It's usually, even if you schedule it, that's why I try to keep that time open in the morning for the stuff that I know needs to get done, because the afternoon, those are my appointments that are set. And then if somebody pops in or jumps in there's not much I can do about that. I have to keep those. So yeah, it's definitely having that space, that break of this is my has to be done time. And this is the rest of my daytime.
And when you talk about leaving time in the beginning of the day for you and then scheduling appointments in the afternoon, what do you use to help keep that boundary on your schedule?
Do you mean like on my calendar?
Yeah.
All of my stuff is color coded. And then I always make sure, because I did not do this in the past and it really would come back to bite me. I would just jam my schedule in the afternoon back to back to back. So there was no room. I literally would be running if I had to go to the bathroom or, go just get away for 5 minutes. I would be feverishly getting back to that next thing. So in addition to having those scheduled times, you still need to have the buffer time of nothing in there, not to do a to-do list. You can if you have time or you want to, but just having that clear space time, breathing time.
Right. To graciously get from one appointment to the next.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Without being like, hi.
How are you? I have to end 5 minutes more early because I've got another appointment right after you.
Yes.
As if the first person's not important enough to get the full hour or half hour or whatever.
Right.
I have to cut you short so that I can see the next person. Can anyone get on your calendar, or do you use a scheduling link, or how do you keep it so that you don't get an appointment in the morning?
I do. I use Calendly, and I just have it set up so mornings are blocked off for me. So actually Mondays and Fridays are blocked off for me. Mondays are my meeting days, reporting days. Those are the days that I get all of that work done. I keep Tuesday and Thursday afternoons open for any type of appointment, sales, networking, whatever it is. And then Wednesdays are interview days in the afternoon. So that's a separate link, and that's a link that only goes to, anybody that I'm doing an interview for when we're, recruiting. So that's how I break it up.
Fantastic. And can any of the people that you meet with internally, can they pop themselves onto your calendar, or do they anywhere they want, or do they recognize there's only certain places they can get on, or do they use Calendly to get on?
They use Calendly to get on. Yep. That's what they do. And so they would fall in the Tuesday to Thursday, because that's the link that's on my email signature. where if it's an interview, that's a separate link that nobody has except somebody that is interviewing with us. So nobody can pop in on a Wednesday unless I let them.
So what if someone on your team has a burning thing and it's not a Tuesday or a Thursday?
So we use a mix of email or Slack. And sometimes text messages, but we try to keep it to a channel that's trackable. I don't like using a million different things. Every now and then, though, I will miss a Slack and they'll text me and say, hey, like I really need an answer to this now. So you always have to have that kind of chain of command. So if it's something that's non-urgent, but they need an answer, let's say that day, it's email, because I'm always checking my email. If it's something that's maybe within like a couple hours, they'll throw it on Slack. And if it's, I need to talk to you now, it's a text message.
I love it. I love how you've been able to really fine tune. Here are the times that you can get me for a lengthier conversation. Here's where you can get me on a one-off. If this is an absolute emergency, this is what it looks like. If it's not, that way you're not putting out fires all day long. You're just taking things in the urgency of which they deserve.
Right. Well, and that's hard to do too, because you do find yourself getting lost in the putting out fires sometimes, and sometimes it just happens. We always try to be proactive. That's one of the reasons that we brought on relationship managers last year for our clients, is so that there was somebody that was really attentive and just focused on that, because it's hard when you're doing 100 other things to, be able to just stop on a dime. And we wanted them to have, like our clients, to have that extra, that little extra layer of protection. Like if you need somebody beyond your VA, you've got your relationship manager. So, having that structure now set up, and we implement that from day one of when we onboard somebody, like this is basically the chain of command. It's taken so much off of my plate. Not that I don't still get questions like, how would I deal with this, or how would I do this? But they're so few and far between compared to, sometimes rapid fire coming in. So yeah, you definitely have to have that chain of command kind of set up and those processes set up first.
So as we're talking about the things that you do and the things that your relationship manager does and things like that, tell us more about your business. What is EVA?
Well, so I'd like to call it a virtual staffing agency, because not everybody, I noticed, knows what a virtual assistant is. Which, for those of you that don't, it is a remote worker. That's it. So it's plain and simple. And we specialize in 3 areas. So mainly executive assistants, legal assistants, and digital marketing assistants. And that's what we do. We support attorneys, small business owners, busy professionals with, those tasks that they have that are keeping them, in the weeds of their business. And we help alleviate that by taking those off their plate. And then they are able to hopefully, because not everybody can do it, but hopefully focus on the bigger picture, which is growing their business and doing those, moving into that more leadership business building role.
So what are some of the tasks, for example, if you're looking at that executive assistant type VA?
A big one is calendar management, also inbox management. We all just get inundated with emails, and just having somebody go in there on a regular basis and organize those emails has been a huge, huge game changer for some of our clients. We do, honestly, our executive assistants do such an array of things, from helping personally. We have people that are, scheduling haircuts and doctor's appointments, and, sitting on the phone trying to set up a payment plan for something. We've done things as crazy as selling an RV for somebody and then scheduling it to be, driven across the country. So we run the gamut on think of it, anything an administrative assistant would do, other than maybe pick up your dry cleaning and deliver it to you, we can do.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking about right now, my mom, right before we got on, my mom called because she's checking my gas and electric prices because it's a year now since we
Mhm.
last did that. So she's doing apples to apples for stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I totally could have given that to one of my VAs, but
Right.
we'll just keep letting my mom do that for a while. She's happy with that. I don't know
Yeah.
that she's happy with that. That's a lie. She always tells me how I'm so lucky she does it for me. And I tell her, you're right. I am lucky you do that for me and just keep on doing it.
Yes, yes. But it is, it's little things like that that you don't really want to take the time to do. And a lot of people, it's funny because they'll come to us and they'll say, well, I have a couple personal tasks. Like, well, do I need a new VA for that? And, we always say no, like they're happy to do, whatever you need. You can mix it up. So.
So what about your legal VAs? What are some of the things they do differently than your administrative assistant VAs?
Honestly, there's not, I mean, a document prep might be one that's, a little bit different than working as an executive assistant, although those two can cross over as well. Client intake is a big one, which again, we also do, on the executive assistant side. I wouldn't really say that the duties themselves are different. I think it's just the applications are different. We, like, our legal assistants have a background in working with attorneys in the past, and there is just a different way that you handle things versus being an executive assistant and working more in the business world versus the legal world. So, I think that would be the big difference. I don't necessarily think the tasks are much different. It's just, how they're being done.
And then the third one you said has something to do with marketing. So tell me more about what
Yeah.
that looks like.
Yeah, so we do digital marketing. We do a lot of things that fall under that. It could be social media management. Sometimes it's literally just scheduling content for people because, as you know, you can create it, but you also have to set up a schedule for it too. Email campaigns, helping people set up funnels from their, website to their email provider. We do like basic website edits and updates, swapping out pictures, changing content, maybe doing a landing page here and there. So that kind of all falls under that digital marketing umbrella.
What are your favorite types of clients to work with?
Our favorite type of clients. I think if I had to say this, it's somebody who has a realistic expectation of working with an assistant in general. Just, understanding that it is going to take some time up front, because sometimes we have people come in and they just expect somebody to be able to read their mind and do what they need to do pronto. And, trying to have somebody understand that, it's a process. It's going to take some time. You're not in an office 8 hours a day with somebody. So, you need to be able to put the time into the training to get the results that you want. And I think understanding that, the more time you put in up front, the less issues you're going to have at the end is really, for us, that's ideal.
And I know you and I have talked about a unicorn.
Yes,
So
we have unicorns. You have a unicorn.
I do have a unicorn and I love her. So tell us a little bit about what that means and how that fits in with like client expectations.
Yeah, so our unicorns are usually somebody who has experience in everything. So they could be an executive assistant. They can help with your digital marketing. They can cross those boundaries, if you will, because a lot of times if somebody's an executive assistant, they've been a career executive assistant. Other than checking their own Facebook channel, they typically don't really know what else to do in that space. Where our unicorns know how to mix it all together and can do, a variety of things. Now, that's not to say that they're going to know every single program or platform that you're using, but they're familiar enough that they'll be able to jump in and help. So yeah, we always laugh about that, but we have some unicorn VAs.
Yes, they're great with the process piece, and they're also big thinkers, and they can do some graphics and creative parts. I love my unicorn VA. So switching gears a smidgen, Let's talk about the 25th hour.
Okay.
So when you're able to really dig in and set your morning up for success and keep your appointments in the afternoon within their boundaries and do all those things, you create more time for yourself. You've
Yeah.
delegated things off, you have extra time. What do you like to do with it?
Usually what we just, it's family time for me. That's really the biggest thing, whether it's spending time, with my kids, my husband, my siblings and nieces and nephews, whatever it is. We are a very active, close, tight-knit family, and that's where my time goes.
And what's your favorite thing, if there is one, to do with your family?
Oh my gosh. We really just get together and have fun. There's not like one thing that we do. There's really not just one single thing that we do. So, it's whatever season it is. If it's summer, we're outside all the time, doing something. My daughter and I walk a lot. We have 2 dogs. So, love to just be able to get out and walk the dogs, and that's really about it. And go anywhere near water. Love water. Love being by a lake, an ocean, whatever.
Yes. And you're one of those families, aren't you, where you rent those big houses and
Yes,
bring everyone in together?
we do.
And how is that?
Oh, for us, it's a blast. It's a blast. Yeah, we do it every year. My parents are divorced, so I am so fortunate that both sides of the family get along, and we're all pretty much the same. So we try to alternate years. So like one year I go with, my mom and that side of the family, and then the next year it's my dad and that side of the family. So, but yeah, we're a very well blended family, very fortunate in that way.
You know, ish fully again safe once the world reopens. All right, Laura. I love working with your company, as we know. I love collaborating with you. I'm super, super excited that you were able to join us today and share some of your personal secrets of success, but also how having a virtual assistant slash remote worker slash whatever you want to call it will help people save time.
Mm-hmm.
If people are intrigued, which I don't know why they wouldn't be, how do they get a hold of you?
The best place is just visit our website, elitevirtualassist.com. I know it's short, Elite Virtual Assist, not assistant, but that is the best place to get a hold of us. All of our information is on the website, and then you can always schedule a call from any page on that website. So, and if you want to reach out to me directly, you can email Laura at elitevirtualassist.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me. Just another great time that we spent together here.
So lucky.
Thanks, Lisa.